Alright, what is going on, guys? Justin here with the Miles Matter, and today I'll be doing my first shoe comparison video on two shoes that I think are pretty similar, check off a lot of the same boxes, but in my opinion, there's one that I think outweighs the other. And so the two shoes we're going to focus on are the Nike Vaporfly 2 and the Adidas Takumi Sen 9. So before we even start, I know a lot of you are probably saying, why are you putting the Vaporfly 2 up against the Takumi Sen 9 when the Vaporfly 3 is out and the Takumi Sen 10 is out? Well, if you're like me and you don't always want to dish out money on the latest and greatest because it might not even be the latest and greatest, then both of these shoes are a very good option because you could find them for a really good deal right now, close to half off, maybe even 60 to 70% off if you find a pair that are slightly used. And honestly, for a 5K, 10K race day, I would pick the Vaporfly 2 over the 3 probably 10 out of 10 times. And then the Takumi Sen 9, truthfully, I don't know too much about the 10, but from the couple reviews that I've heard, it's not too much different, and it might have even lost a little bit of the edge that it had. So that's specifically why I'm focusing on these two, and out of my entire shoe rotation right now, these are the two that I would lean towards when it came down to race day, specifically that 5 to 10K range, or maybe my tempo day in training, but when I want a little extra edge. So that's why I'm focusing on these two guys right now. So I'm going to start with the Vaporfly 2 because this was a shoe that I had in my rotation for a long time. That was the most aggressive shoe that I had. If I wanted a shoe that was going to give me a little extra edge, or on those threshold days or the repeats, I would lean towards that. I didn't think it was super uncomfortable. I actually think it's pretty tolerable. Between the two at like more of a tempo pace and especially warm up and cool down, it does way better than the Takumi Sen 9, which I'll get into. But again, it does what it needs to do. But I think the biggest issue that I had was in those later miles where I felt like I was putting a lot into my running and asking for a lot in return. I wasn't getting it. And the Zoom X, it just felt like maybe it was too soft, too squishy. Again, like I just wasn't getting enough back, even with the carbon plate. And it's not like it was by much compared to the Takumi Sen 9, but you know, like anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds a mile is a big deal. So I give comfort a very slight edge to the Vaporfly 2. I think the upper, I really enjoy the upper. It's actually one of my more favorite uppers. And I know there's the little bit of like the gap in the heel, and I do use a heel lock for this. But my theory is if I have to use a heel lock on a pair of shoes, to me, it means the shoe's not working 100% officially. I know people might disagree with that, but that's just my personal take. I like to know that I could just put a shoe on, lace it up, and be good to go. I don't want to have to mess around and making sure I need to lock it down and everything's secure. I feel it should just do its job. And not to knock the shoe, but if I'm doing that, then it might just not be the shoe that works best for my foot shape, or maybe just how I run. And now the Takumi Sen 9. I hated this shoe in the beginning. I still don't love it. It's grown on me, that's for sure. And honestly, it wasn't until this last run that I did, the 7-mile run, I almost wrote this shoe off entirely, but something changed in that run. I think the shoe is super uncomfortable at slower paces that warm up and cool down. I think it'd probably be a terrible shoe for tempo days. The upper I find pretty uncomfortable. Around mile 4 out of that 7-mile run that I did was when I started to notice just how uncomfortable I was in this shoe, and I could start to feel the rods a little bit. And definitely by like miles 5 and 6, my dogs were barking, and I felt like I needed to get this shoe off, and I couldn't wait to get it off. But where the magic came alive for me in the shoe was in the fact that I felt like the amount of effort I was putting out in my run, I was getting that same amount of effort in return from the Lightstrike Pro. And especially in mile 6 and mile 7 on very tired legs, doing threshold runs, threshold training, I was able to get a lot back. And even in that 7th mile, I had a PR on my mile. I haven't tried to PR in a long time, but according to my Strava and my Garmin, I ran a 6:47, something like that. If it came down to the mile and I was just trying to PR the mile, I haven't done that ever, but I'd probably do way better than the 6:47. But to grab a 6:47 on tired legs on the 7th mile, I completely give the credit to the shoe. And I really felt like, again, was when this Lightstrike Pro came alive, was the more you put into this shoe, the more you're going to get back. And for me, I was getting back way more from this shoe than the Vaporfly 2. So I do not think this is nearly as comfortable as the Vaporfly 2. I'm hoping that as I use this shoe more, things will change, especially with this foam, because it's just got such a firm foam going on in here. And as a whole, I still don't entirely know how I feel about the shoe, because I find it very uncomfortable. Especially, it's pretty narrow in here and I have a wider foot. And so my foot tends to get very cramped up in here. And again, I just don't love it. But the ride altogether and what I get back in return, come 5K, 10K race day, surprisingly, because I almost wrote the shoe off, but come race day, I think I'm picking the Takumi Sen 9. So I hope that helps you guys. That definitely, when I thought of making this video comparing the two, I almost thought in my head right away that the Vaporfly 2, this is easy, this is going to be my choice. This will be a good training shoe for those threshold days or repeats when I just want that extra edge and I don't feel like being as uncomfortable in the Takumi Sen 9. But the discomfort that I feel in this shoe is a small price to pay for race day. So yeah, Takumi Sen 9, that is the winner. That is what I'd pick. If you guys are still using these shoes, let me know. If you grab the Takumi Sen 10 and you've got some runs in it, let me know how that is. I have the Vaporfly 3. It's not a bad shoe. I actually like that it's a little more comfortable than the Vaporfly 2. And come maybe my next half marathon where I want to try and PR, I think I'm going to try that shoe out and see where it falls. But guys, thank you for watching. Much love. Any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave it down below. I'll always get back to you guys. And until next time, later.